Alright guys, so the rest of these videos are going to be for the motor getting built. So basically just going to be showing you guys how to put the 3rd gen block with 4th gen parts on it into a 4th gen car. Finally got the stuff I needed back for the engine. The rods were on back order for a long time, so that's what I was waiting on. I think it's because of the virus and stuff, but we finally got those in this last week. Dropped the stuff off at the machine shop, had them balance it. So kind of just wanted to show you guys how the Summit stuff looks, because that's what I'm using, is the Summit LS Pro Series internals. They're supposed to be rated, or they're rated for 1200 horsepower, and they're forged. I don't remember which metal they are exactly. Let's see. They're the 4026 forged metal. So they are the ones that like will have piston rattle on startup and stuff like that. But we were going for strength on it. That's why we got the iron block and did the forge assembly. On the crankshaft though, I did just end up going with the stock LS3 crank. So it should still be able to take the power just fine. Had that balanced as well with the assembly and stuff. So I'll show you guys how the Summit stuff looks. That way you can get an idea of, and they're not badly priced, honestly. The set, I think, for the 6.0 cost me $1,100 for the pistons, which come with the pistons and the pins and then the connecting rods. You do have to buy the ring pack separately. I think that's like $115. So in total for that portion of the rotating assembly, I was probably like $1,250 is what it ended up coming out to. So honestly, not that badly priced for the horsepower that they're supposed to be capable of. So I'll show you guys what those look like. Okay, so these are the pistons and stuff. These are separate because they had to go with it for the balancing, but it comes with the pins and the retainers and stuff like that. That's how the pistons look. These ones were the flat tops with the valve reliefs on it. Supposed to be running like a 10.3 to 1 compression ratio with these. Got coating on the side skirts, so they're pretty good looking piston. Supposedly when Summit designed them, they took some ideas from a few different pistons designs and incorporated it into these ones, and so they're supposed to have like the best of 3 different piston designs to create this, which is why they might handle power so well. And then these are the rods. So we got these balanced as well. So that's what why the finish looks a bit different on the top and bottoms, because they had to shave some off to get those balanced. They did say the pistons didn't have to get balanced. They said they were all within spec together. So those might honestly come balanced to begin with. But these guys did have to get balanced. And yeah, so these rods are supposed to be 1200 horsepower capable. They come with ARP hardware already in them. So yeah, not a bad looking rod either. Hopefully they handle what they're supposed to. On the engine, for now, once we get it put back together, I'm only going to be running 10 psi because that's what it was originally running, but I'm not going to be pushing it because obviously we got to go through the break-in period and everything like that. It is just getting a stock LS3 cam again, just to get it through the break-in period and everything like that. Once it's through the break-in period, the rings are sat, the bottom end's looking good and everything like that, then the plan is to cam it at that point I was going to do head studs and LS9 head gaskets on the block, but for now, because it's we're gonna replace the lifters too, because I did just end up getting melling lifters for it. So melling LS7 lifters. So when we do the cam job, then I'm going to be doing the trunnion upgrade to the rockers, swapping the lifters out for some Johnsons or something, and then obviously putting the cam in at that point. But for now, we'll just be doing the stock stuff. So the blocks, I'm painting the block right now. That's why I don't know if you can hear the heater running in the background, but just to keep the shop warm while that's going down. But the plan is to assemble the bottom end tonight. So I'll show you guys that process as I go along with that. All right, so the motor's painted now. It's still kind of tacky and everything, but we're gonna start putting in the bottom end stuff because I can just work around that. But we have our AARP bottom end main studs. We have the Cleveite Molly main bearing set. So I'm gonna get those started to put in, and then I'll show you as I go along with that stuff what's happening. All right, so main studs are in now, bearings are in. Just got to get the crank laid in there, and then obviously we'll put the main caps back on, get it torqued down to what it wants, and from there we put the pistons in. I got the pistons assembled over there on the table, so we'll start getting this together here pretty soon. Okay, now, so bottom ends together, got the main studs in, got the main caps mounted. So this is where I wanted to show you this part. So as you can see from the sensor wheel, this is a 4th gen crank. So this is a 2003 Suburban 6.0. So the LQ4 I think is what that one is. And this is a 2010 Chevy Camaro crank, and they go in just fine. So there's the first part of a 4th gen part into a 3rd gen block, and the only other thing now is because we have the 56 tooth crank sensor wheel, we do have to swap to the newer crankshaft sensor, but they do go in there, they do go in the block. So next thing to do is to get the pistons in, and then the camshaft and timing chain, and I'll show that as it goes along as well. So that'll be next. Okay, so rotating assembly's in. I'll show you guys that in a bit, but the next thing to go in is the camshaft. So back to what I was saying earlier about the 3rd gen, 4th gen things. This is a LS3 camshaft, 1 bolt. So this is a 4th gen cam. So we're gonna get this installed, and I'll show you guys that these cams do work in the 3rd gen blocks as well, and how you go about doing that. It's a straightforward swap. It's just the 3rd gens have a 3-bolt cam gear, whereas I don't know about the other ones, but at least this one is a 1-bolt cam gear, and then you have to change the timing cover. But besides that, they swap to each other just fine. So I'll show you guys the motor with this installed here in a bit, and the rotating assembly together. So yeah, let me do that, and then I'll get back to it. Okay, so got the 4th gen cam installed, so I want to show you guys that. So here it is installed, got the retainer plate on. Wanted to show you guys this as well. So this thing is an add-on that you do with the early 3rd gen blocks, because the other 3rd gens, some of the 3rd gens, they do come with the casting here for a timing chain dampener, but this block doesn't. So you can get these. I got this one off Summit. What it does is it just bolts in with the other 3 retainer holes, and it gives you the threads to install the dampener into, and so that way you can take up some of the chain slack that would be there, because the next set of 3rd gen blocks did come with those, and then the 4th gen blocks came with a tensioner on them. And so the other thing you need when you go to a 4th gen cam is this. So this is the 4th gen cam gear. It's got the little dimples and stuff for the cam sensor to read off. So you would install one of those with the 4th gen cam, as well as the 4th gen timing cover, because it's got the sensor port on it. And then from there you would just get the sensor adapter to connect into the 3rd gen harness, so that way you can run that timing cover. But besides that, now we got all that stuff put in. Timing chain dampener showed up, so we're going to get that installed, get the timing chain on, oil pump on, and then just basically get the rest of the motor sealed up. And then I have an idea with what I want to do with the valley cover. I'm not really sure if it's going to work yet, but if it does, I'll show you guys what I did there, in case you guys want to try something like that as well. But once I get that stuff together, I'll show you guys that. Alright, so motor is a little further along. So we finally got the dampener. It's installed right there, if you can see it. It's kind of like a wing shape thing. That's how it bolts on there. Now for anyone that is planning on buying that, some info on that: do not get one from AutoZone, because it does not work like this. You have to get it from Chevy. So if you want to get one through Chevy and you do get this bracket, you can get it. You just have them look up a 2006 base Corvette, which is what this came on, and that one will work with this adapter. Now we got the oil pump on as well, got our heads on and seated. We got the head bolts in this one, but not in this one, because I wanted to show you guys the difference with those. So this one is a pre-2004 block, so it comes with these ones, all these long length ones, and then it comes with 2 shorts. Now this is a box for one side, being that this one is in. Now this head is for a Camaro. It's a 5364, which isn't technically the one that comes on the Camaro. The one that comes on the Camaro is the 820 or the 821, I think, which is the ones that I originally had, and I wish I could have reused, but they blew up. So this one is the same style. It was just casted for trucks, so it came with heavier valves in it. But like I said in the last video, I had the valves swapped to Camaro valves, had the Camaro springs put on, and besides that, the ports and everything are the same as the Camaro ports. So these are the exact same. So 4th gen heads, they go right on there, and as long as you get the correct bolt kit, they bolt down just fine. So 4th gen heads, 4th gen crank, 4th gen camshaft, and then obviously the Summit stuff's aftermarket, so I can't really say 4th gen pistons and rods there. But yeah, that's so far, this is how far along we are, and that's the 4th gen, 3rd gen stuff. And I still got to do the oil pan, which is going to be the 4th gen oil pan, and then the 4th gen timing cover. So when I get that part done, I'll show you that. But oh, and I'll show you the valley cover, the idea that I had earlier. But the paint's still setting up on that, so once that is done, I'll show you guys that as well. Okay guys, so the motor is finally together. I didn't end up showing some of the rest of the stuff that I wanted to, because what ended up happening is when we were getting the heads on, the passenger side bank snapped the head bolt, and that turned into a pretty big deal trying to get that out. We ended up getting it out. We're able to get the threads cleaned and able to get the head torqued down correctly, but everything's together now. So now I can show you guys what the 4th gen stuff on a 3rd gen looks like. So this is the motor. Like I said, we got the 4th gen cam in here with the 4th gen crank, and then the 4th gen heads. This here is a 4th gen timing cover. So as you can see, we got the camshaft sensor here. That's what you need the 4th gen timing cover for, because the other one sat here originally. As you can see, it's there because it's still got to be plugged in the block. So I just put an old one back in there. It's not going to be reading anything or connected to anything, but it's just to plug that. Now the idea I was telling you guys about was this thing. So this is my LS3 Valley cover. It's got a PCV port, which I definitely need, being that it's going to be boosted, and it's flat. It doesn't have the knock sensor holes like this one has, those 2 knock sensor holes, because we're not going to be using those because it's a 4th gen motor. So that's what I was doing with this. That's what the idea was. And so what ended up happening is this thing on the 3rd gen actually comes all the way here and covers this spot, because it's got a little tower on it for the oil pressure sensor. And so we just ended up shaving what we needed to, and we got an oil pressure sensor in there, got the cover on there so it's nice and flat, and we brazed some aluminum back here. You could TIG it, you could do whatever you need just to get some aluminum on there, and then we grinded it flat, new gasket and stuff. So that's what I wanted, was this, because if you go boosted, a PCV port is nice, but on the 3rd gens, the only way you can get a PCV port is if you buy an LS2 Valley cover, I think, and then it comes with the 2 knock sensor holes. And so if you needed that PCV port, obviously, and you were doing a 3rd gen motor and needed those knock sensors, that would be fine, but 4th gen car, so this is what I wanted on there. And the reason why we were able to do that is because this is something else I saw on someone else's video. He was struggling with the same thing. So we got our engine mount. It's got 4 holes, and on the knock sensors on the 3rd gen block, they sit on the side of the block. So what he said to do was just take your knock sensor and reposition it on a engine mount bolt. And so we just shaved off one of the ears, because they do make just 3 bolt engine mounts for the LS, so this should still be fine with just the 3 bolts. And we put the knock sensor in place there, and so it's literally almost in the same spot the one on the 4th gen comes, because the 4th gen I think sits here, so it's just barely off from there, and it's centered in the middle of the block, so that's nice. Got that done on both sides. And so the difference with that what you end up having to do is the bolt for that one is smaller. I don't know where I put it, but yeah, the bolt for that knock sensor is a smaller thread. And so what you have to do is you have to drill out the middle of the knock sensor a little bit to step it up to the size of the engine mount threads. And he was kind of worried in the video that maybe might mess with the harmonics or whatever for the knock sensor, but he ended up he said it ended up running fine. I can't remember whose video it was, but that was one of the nice things, so that way this goes together nicely. And then we got the 4th gen LS3 oil pan on there. The only thing we ended up running into on that is the 3rd gen block doesn't come with one oil pan bolt that this one does have, so we just didn't put that bolt in. But besides that, it bolts on there just like it's supposed to. So yeah, that's the motor back together, and now we just got to get it back on the subframe, get the accessories on it, and get it put back up into the car, and hopefully have it together sometime today. But that'll probably be another video. This will be the video just for this, and just wanted to show you guys all that stuff. So once we get it in the car, I'll do a video with it installed and getting the first startup and it running and everything. So there you guys go.